Dark and messed up people doing dark and messed up things. Pump the brakes, Audrey. I'm gonna stop there because I've already read something I don't want to know. I am knee deep in an edit that is so much worse than I ever could have possibly imagined. I will read anything with this trope. I'm super psyched. I was gonna say I'm stoked. Who am I? Oh my God, this is like the humiliating video of the year, isn't it? Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse and welcome to a bit of a book haul. I am going to apologize in advance for all the shimmying around. I 1000% tweaked my back and it hurts to basically do anything, but here we are, muddling through because you can't just not do anything. So anyway, I was generously gifted a whole bunch of books over the holidays from family, from publishers, and I maybe picked up a couple myself. And I'm super excited about a lot of them. So wanted to share them all with you guys today. I realized on the heels of doing like an unhaul where I was like, wham, all the books. And now I have a pile of books, but I'm really excited about a whole lot of them. So anyway, here they are. The unhaul continues. Let's actually talk about the first book that I got. So the first book that I got is How to Declutter When You're Overwhelmed, The Mindful Art of Space Making by April Scott Tandy. She is a YouTube personality. I originally was introduced to her like online. I don't know her as the suitcase designer. I want to say she was the suitcase designer, and then she changed her channel to the Space Maker and has this Space Maker method about how to declutter from like the perspective of being very sensitive to people's attachments to things, to everybody operating differently. And it's not like a, does it spark joy, get rid of it. It's not encouraging you to become a minimalist, but it's trying to work with people's unique personalities to get you to the point of being able to declutter and to have an organized home that you're excited about and just have things around you that you want around you. But it doesn't mean you can only have 3 black shirts or you only can have 6 glasses, like any of that kind of stuff. So I'll link her channel down below. I really enjoy her. This book is like brand new. You can hear it crack. And when she came out with her own book, which she self-published, part of me wanted all the secrets and all the tips and all the things. And part of me also really wanted to support her as a creator, which is why I picked it up. So all that to say, my book decluttering journey continues along with a lot of other things. I have made many proud statements on here that like, this is the year I'm going to get it together. I'm going to stop putting everything on the year. And just, I am a work in progress. My home is a work in progress. My life is a work in progress. I am a work in progress, and I want to work on making some progress. So that's the first book I picked up. I have not yet started to read it, but I'm really excited about it. And again, she's fantastic. I really love how she approaches her clients and how she works with people, and I think she's great. So stay tuned for updates and more unhauls coming our way in the future. Okay, the book stack is mixed, so I will let you know what was gifted, what I purchased, and what came from a publisher. This next one was gifted to me. This is You Can't See Me by Eva Bjorg. Icelandic, I'm gonna mess it up. Aegis daughter. I'm gonna blame Abby from Crime by the Book for turning me on to more Nordic noir. So I just put this on like a wish list and I got it as a holiday gift, which I'm super excited about. It's also blurbed by Catherine Ryan Howard, which you guys know is catnip for me. So this one is the wealthy, powerful Snaberg clan has gathered for a family reunion at a futuristic hotel set amongst the dark lava flows of Iceland's remote Snæfellsnes Peninsula. I won't even pretend to get any of the words right, but bear with me as I go through this. So Petra is a successful interior designer, and she's anxious about the event and her troubled teenage daughter, Leah, whose social media presence has attracted the wrong kind of followers. Aging carpenter Trivgi is an outsider, only tolerated because he's the boyfriend of Petra's aunt, but he's struggling to avoid alcohol because he knows what happens when he drinks. Humble hotel employee Irma is excited to meet this rich and famous family and observe them at close quarters, but perhaps too close. As the weather deteriorates and the alcohol flows, one of the guests disappears, and it becomes clear that there is a prowler lurking in the dark. But is the real danger inside, within the family itself? So, family stuff, reunion, remote setting, weather, all these things that I love, great blurbs on the back of it. And this is the first of hers that I would have read. Abby was featuring The Creek on the Stairs, which is another one of her books. She was showing it on her channel, and I looked into it, and then I read the blurb on this one, and I was like, oh, this one sounds really up my alley. And hopefully it will be. So very excited about that. And then I have Kill Yours, Kill Mine by Catherine Kovacic. I'm not sure how you say that. This is like a Strangers on the Train, also Audrey Catnip. This was also gifted to me for the holidays, and I'm very excited about this one. I kind of stumbled upon this one a little accidentally, best way to find a book. And it says, men get away with murder all the time, but now it's our turn. Yeehaw. I love a Strangers on the Train. So you guys know Steve Kavanaugh's Kill for Me, Kill for You, The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson, one of my all-time favorite books, and the original Strangers on a Train. I'm always here for this trope. So we have Mia's grief counseling practice, the Pleiades? It's Greek. The Pleiades? Oh my God, this is like the humiliating video of the year, isn't it? Is named for the 7 sisters from Greek mythology who were the companions of the goddess of the hunt, and in some stories die of grief or are killed to be saved from attackers. So Mia's been gathering broken women together for a radical form of group therapy. 5 women crippled with grief by the murders of their sisters, and seething with rage that the partners who killed them all walk free. She just needed one more. So she meets Naomi, and she knows that she's found the perfect candidate, but Naomi is resistant. She only needs to meet the others before she realizes that they too are consumed with desire for hands-on revenge. Under Mia's guidance, the women devise a plan to heal themselves. They'll take back their lives from the men who took their sisters. The premise is satisfyingly simple. I'll kill yours if you kill mine. I'm very excited. It just, I will read anything with this trope, and I'll be reading this one. You know what's not good for a bad back? Bending over. Okay, let's try this. Let's try this over here. Okay. The next book I have, which was gifted to me from my parents, is The World of Winnie the Pooh by A.A. Milne. You guys, it's like all the Winnie the Poohs. It's gold. It's not going to work, right? It's all the Winnie the Pooh stories. I am so in love with Winnie the Pooh. It has this gorgeous map in the front. I maybe also got myself a Winnie the Pooh puzzle. I'm trying to get back into puzzling, which is actually this map from the New York Public Library. It's so cute. So it has all the original sketches inside and has all his stories in one. I haven't read these. I have not read all the Pooh stories over the years. I've read some of them, but like all the original sketches, Pooh and Piglet, they're just like my favorite. I have been a Winnie the Pooh girl from like the womb, basically. I had this yellow, funny looking Winnie the Pooh when I was a kid. Anyway, I love Winnie. I love Winnie the Pooh, so I'm very excited for this. I just think they're just the best, the absolute best. And then this is publisher gifted. This is actually my current read, not to, well, it's not going to spoil anything for you guys. So this was gifted to me from St. Martin's. This is You'll Never Believe Me by Carrie Farrell. I talked about this in my January most anticipated, and this is A Life of Lies, Second Tries, and Things I Should Only Tell My Therapist. So Carrie, aka the hipster grifter, tells her entire story. I'm probably 2/3 of the way through this book right now. So she was arrested in Salt Lake City. She wound up coming to New York. She wound up becoming like a Salt Lake City most wanted, winds up going to prison. She like duped all these people, wrote a whole bunch of bad checks. And it's like before Anna Delvey, before the Tinder swindler, there was Carrie Farrell. So this is her story behind the story. And so far, I will say it is wickedly funny. She has such a great way about her and a personality and the way of describing these stories. She's telling some of her dark, bad stuff that she did. She's not shying away from it. There's some explanation behind some things. In some cases, she makes no excuses for the things that she did. And it's a really interesting insight, but her humor is so spot on. Like the number of times I have laughed out loud at this is just, I feel like both not surprising and also thoroughly delightful. So I had mentioned in my January new releases, if you haven't seen it, I actually worked with Carrie years after this, had no idea who she was or anything like that. We worked together in a corporate office and just pure fun, pure delight. So it's really funny to like literally like hear her voice in this and all these things that I never knew until well after the fact. and I'm having a good time with it. So I don't know how deep we're gonna go, or like how far, like she's gonna take us to the present, but I'm not sure about all the jumps in between. But this starts from like when she was adopted as a child till she's in New York and like back to Utah so far. So we'll see, but I'm having a great time with it. So thank you, St. Martin's. Definitely one of my most anticipated. And you will actually probably see a review on this before you will have seen this video. So if you're not following me on Instagram, that's where you'll find it. So more on that to come. And then shockingly, I also, from Grand Central Publishing, got Presumed Guilty by Scott Turow. I, in a million years, never would have expected this book to come my way, because to me, this feels like kind of a big deal. So I am ecstatic about it. And if you guys have been here and heard me talk about how I want to reread Presumed Innocent and how I'm so excited for this and I'm going to get caught up on the series. This is book number 3 in the Presumed Innocent series. You can bet your bottom dollar that Presumed Innocent is next up on my to-read list, even though it's a reread. And I'm going to get myself caught up so I can read this. So this comes out mid-January. I want to say the 14th. I will have it correct down below. And I'm really excited for this. So I don't want to tell you too much in case you haven't read the other books. I haven't read book number 2, so all I know is that's another murder case, but that's like all I know about it. And this one is Rusty's son is kind of getting himself, stepson. Looks like he's getting himself into some trouble, and Rusty has to get involved. So Rusty Savage is the main character from book number 1, who is accused of murder, but of course is presumed innocent until proven guilty. So stay tuned for more on this one. But I am thrilled beyond recognition that I have this. I'm super psyched. I was gonna say I'm stoked. Who am I? I don't talk like that. I'm not. I'm not stoked. Okay. I mean, I am, but I'm not. You know what I mean. Not a word I would ever use. I don't know what's wrong with me. Okay. Next up, I have Close to Death by Anthony Horowitz. This is book number 5 in the Hawthorne Horowitz series. So my dad actually got this for me. He and I have a great time reading Anthony Horowitz and talking about his books. So Magpie Murders is one of his series. He's written a cajillion things, but this is his book series where he is the self-insert in it. So I do have a little catching up to do on the series, and then I'm going to dive into this one. But I love these book covers. So this is like actual Horowitz kind of being a sidekick to a detective, and they solve crimes together. So like a little bit of Castle kind of vibes, except British, and Anthony Horowitz is a real person. So I don't know. I just love the series. I love his writing. I'm very excited for this one. And then another book that I was super excited about that was on my December most anticipated. This is The Close-Up by Pip Drysdale. This was also gifted to me for the holidays. And I read The Sunday Girl by Pip Drysdale, I want to say 2 years ago. Loved her dark humor, loved the darkness in her books, love her dark and messed up people doing dark and messed up things. And I have very high expectations that this is going to fall right back into that category. So she's written herself into her biggest nightmare. After reconnecting with an ex, now a Hollywood star, a struggling author discovers the dark side of fame when a stalker begins reenacting violent events from her novel. So I talked about that Bones episode where they start doing that. It's also the pilot of Castle. Someone is reenacting murders from his books, which is how he gets like involved with the police department. Is anybody here for Audrey's Bones and Castle obsession? No, but still, they are fantastic shows. So a little sidebar there. But I'm really excited for this one. I've seen some great reviews already. Kate from I'm Book Wild has an interview with Pip Drysdale on her channel, which I'm saving until after I read this. And then I'm going to dive into that as well. There's another book on here that is 1000% Kate inspired, but super excited for this one. I'm running out of room. Hold on. I don't want anything to fall. I also don't want to have to bend over to pick anything up. Okay. The next book I have, I talked about this if you guys saw my bingo announcement. This is J.T. Ellison, A Very Bad Thing, which is another book about an author. I had mentioned on the bingo video about reading long books, and I knew this was a long one. Let me see a final page count. Why are there not page numbers? We're looking at like 470 pages, I want to say, which I'm all here for, like the big book of it all. I have read a bunch of J.T. Ellison books. I very much enjoy her writing, and I'm excited for this one. So this is about a writer who gets murdered on book tour. Love it. Also reminds me of, well, No Bones like obviously doesn't get murdered on her book tour, but she's like on a book tour when people are recreating crimes from her books. Anyway, adored by millions, murdered by one. A great writer knows when to deliver a juicy plot twist, but for one author, the biggest twist of all is her own murder. Love it. With a number of her hit titles and a highly anticipated movie tie-in, celebrated novelist Columbia Jones is at the top of her game. Fans around the world adore her, but on the final night of her latest book tour, one face in the crowd makes the author collapse. And by the next morning, she's lying dead in a pool of blood. Thank you, JT. Thank you. So her death shocks the world and leaves Darian, her daughter and publicist, reeling. The police have nothing to go on at first, but then details emerge pointing to the author's illicit past. Yes. It turns out many people had motive to kill Columbia, and with a hungry reporter and frustrated cop on the trail, her secrets won't stay buried for long. But how many lives will they shatter as the truth comes out? I'm hoping very many, because it's a thriller. So shatter all around. Love the hot pink cover. Very excited to have more JT in my life. All right, I'm going to try and move forward for a minute. Hold, please. Okay, a nonfiction book, another nonfiction book, I should say. This is Write Fearless, Edit Smart, Get Published, a masterclass for fiction writers by Lisa Mangum, not Magnum PI. I bought this for myself because I am in the midst of editing, and it is a journey that I need to be on that I don't always enjoy. So I am looking for, it says, wherever you are in your author's journey, this book is like teaming up with a personal writing coach who has more than a quarter century of writing, editorial, and publishing experience. I am in need of some advice right now. I am knee deep in an edit that is so much worse than I ever could have possibly imagined. And you know, that's fine. That's part of the process. I am learning so many things about how not to write a book in terms of like, it'll be better next time. It'll be better when it's done. It's going to be great. But I'm particularly interested in the editing chapters in here, and I just need some like fresh perspective on how to tackle this thing. I feel like part of what I'm doing is working, but the need to slash and the need to figure out like what to put when and shift some stuff around. There's some days I feel like a rock star, and there's some days I feel like, remember that Friends quote where she's like, rock bottom, 50 feet of crap, then me? Some days I'm at the then me, period. So anyway, I bought this, but it also has like everything from starting your story. So it's Write Fearless, Edit Smart, Get Published, hence the name of it, Durr. And I'm hoping to edit smart and then move into the Get Published category and see what happens. So I'm excited for it. I've read some good things about it. This came out pretty recently. I think it came out in November. So I've got that. And then the next book I have is a gifted ARC that came to me from Tessa Wiegert. This is The Coldest Case. This is book number 6. She included a postcard. 6 in the Shana Merchant series. So this is the last one I have. I also talked about this in Bingo, how you like save a book, because I both want to read it, but I also know that that's going to be the last book I have for another year, which makes me super sad. But I'm excited to read this. It's definitely going to be a winter read for me. This came out in November. And this one is a missing influencer brings senior investigator Shana Merchant to a frozen island community of just 8 people. When the visit turns deadly, her hunt for a killer collides with a cold case she'll never forget. I really enjoy Shana Merchant. I really enjoy Tessa Wiegert, and I'm super grateful Tessa sent this to me, and I'm excited to read it. So stay tuned. Last one in the series. I'm going to do a bit of a series spotlight, and then I'll obviously review the book itself when I'm done. And I'm intrigued. I love an influencer story. I went on a major influencer kick, like influencer book kick in 2024. So whether I finish it this year or into next year, let the kick continue. Don't fall. Okay, next up is Green Dot. This is by Madeline Gray. I heard Alison Espach talk about this on an interview. I've actually heard her talk about it twice. So she wrote The Wedding People, which I loved. And I, of course, devoured some interviews with her. And when people asked her for a book recommendation, on both interviews, she recommended this book. Put it on the wish list. It was gifted to me. Thank you very much. And this is an irresistible and messy love story about the terrible allure of wanting something that promises nothing. At 24, Hera is a clump of unmet potential. To her, the future is nothing but an exhausting thought exercise, one depressing hypothetical after another. She's sharp in more ways than one, adrift in her own smug malaise. Why can't I speak today? Until her new job moderating the comments section of an online news outlet, a role even more mind-numbing than it sounds, introduces her to Arthur, a middle-aged journalist. Though she's preferred women to men for years now, she soon finds herself falling into an all-consuming affair with him. She's coming apart with want and loving every second of it. Well, except for the tiny hiccup that Arthur has a wife, and that she has no idea Hera exists. Yeesh. With its daringly specific and intimate voice, Green Dot is a darkly hilarious and deeply felt examination of the joys and indignities of coming into adulthood against the pitfalls of the 21st century, and the winding, torturous, and often very funny journey we take in deciding who we are and who we want to be. I'm very intrigued. I'm guessing that's him on the back. It's her on the front. So Alison S. Botch is an author I want to read to zero. I am very intrigued in books that she recommends because I find her books to be, well, I've only read The Wedding People so far, but like very darkly humorous, also very dark. And I'm very intrigued to see what she likes. So love an author recommendation. Also love a fellow reader recommendation. So this is my second Kate book. This is We Used to Live Here by Marcus Clewer. One of my good friends at work who we have an unofficial, we call it book club. Me and two of my friends at work will sometimes have a meeting that devolves into what are you guys reading lately? So one of my friends at work told me I would really enjoy this book. So here we go. I've heard great things about it. It's funny. I was watching Gare from Gare Indeed Reads on I'm Book Wild with Kate, and he was saying that he doesn't think he's smart enough for this book. So I'm super intrigued about it because I don't know, maybe I'm not going to be smart enough either, but we'll find out. So this one is Get Out meets Parasite in this eerily haunting debut and Reddit hit. So it's also going to be a movie soon, which should be fun. And it says two homeowners whose lives are turned upside down when the house's previous residents unexpectedly visit. As a young queer couple who flip houses, Charlie and Eve can't believe the killer deal they just got on an old house in a picturesque neighborhood. As they're working on renovations one day, there's a knock at the door. A man stands there with his family, claiming to have lived here years before, and asking if it would be all right if he showed his kids around. People pleaser to a fault, Eve lets them in. As soon as the strangers enter the house, uncanny and inexplicable things start happening. And I'm going to stop there because I've already read something I don't want to know. I don't know how much it's telling us. I don't know how long into the book that thing happens. Don't read the inside flap. So house flippers, the people who used to live there show up, and all sorts of weird crap starts to happen. So that's what this is about. Read it. Like I said, trust Kate implicitly. And then the next book I have, this was also gifted to me. This is Rabbit Hole by Kate Brody. This was sent to me by Soho. So I actually read this book early in the year. I actually own a copy of it. They offered me the paperback. I told them I own a copy of it, and they're like, no, please have another one. So I am super grateful to Soho for this. This is a book that left a mark. This is definitely dark, bleak. It's like, I don't want to say it reads light because it's a woman and her mom who lost her sister years ago, and on the anniversary of her sister's death, her father, I'm talking about like the mother and daughter together. So Teddy's father drives his car off a bridge when the book opens. So her and her mom are kind of dealing with the double grief of the mysterious disappearance of her sister and now the loss of her father. And Teddy finds out that her father was kind of on the dark, deep true crime web, trying to find answers to what happened to her sister. And Teddy picks up where he left off. This goes dark. This goes bleak. Teddy meets some people. She's trying to find answers. I'm trying to think. I think it was Jessica Knoll who talked about complicated grief, which is a term that I've used over and over again since I heard it. Very complicated grief, looking for answers, the real desperation to it. I read this book in January. It is still sitting with me, like in all the best ways, but just know what you're getting into this one because it is dark, but it's so well written, and it's a lot to handle. It's not a light book at all, but I highly recommend it. So Really, really enjoyed it. Really, really grateful for this. There's also a fun little magnet. I just dropped it. Now I gotta bend over with my bad back. Crikey. Don't get old. Anyway, there's this cute little magnet of a dog. So there's a dog in the book. So sweet, so sweet. There's a little magnet of a dog and a lovely little card and everything. So I'm very excited for this. Thank you so much again, Soho. Yes, don't get old, but also like I threw my back out when I was 25 and I've never been the same. So anyway, there you go. Moving on. A book that I like both did and didn't see coming. I mentioned this. I don't know if I mentioned it on here or if I mentioned it on Instagram. Anyway, it's The Night We Lost Him by Laura Dave. I loved The Last Thing He Told Me. I needed a minute there. I stupidly, when I was introducing this book when it came out, said that this was the sequel to it because I knew that Laura Dave was writing a sequel to it. This has nothing to do with that book. So this is about two estranged siblings dealing with kind of the mysterious death of their father. I had the audiobook of this from Libro FM read by Queen Julia Whalen, which I started to listen to, I don't know, like a week or so ago. And I think I was like 5% into the book and I was like, oh my God, I have to buy this. And I was like, pump the brakes, Audrey, like listen to more of it, make sure you're obsessed with it. And then about 40% of the way into the book, I was like, add to cart, need to have it. So I loved this book. Does Julia Whalen make everything great even greater? Yes, she does. But this book hit me in a way I did not expect it to. And not only am I obsessed with the story, but the prose and the writing and the storytelling. The books hit you at the right time and it's like an avalanche and I'm not mad about it. So the main character in this, Nora, is an architect, which is like one of my favorite things in the entire world. And this book spans, we get multiple POVs. It spans probably like 50 years, I would say. So Liam Noon was many things to many people. To the public, he was an exacting self-made hotel magnate fleeing his past. To his 3 ex-wives, he was a loving, albeit distant family man who kept his finances flush and his families carefully separated. To Nora, he was a father who often loved her from afar, notably a cliffside cottage perched on the California coast where he fell to his death. So Nora's estranged younger brother, Sam, reaches out to her because he is convinced that their father's death was not an accident. And Nora and Sam start working together to figure out what happened. And also we see the dynamic between their estranged relationship, but sibling relationship. I don't have the words for how much I love the dynamic between Nora and Sam. Again, I know Julia Whalen elevates all the things, but the conversations, the words, the complicated grief, the pain between them, the love between them, the family love, and then we get to see in Liam's chapters his life from when he is a teenager until kind of like recent days. So I would say it's more contemporary fiction, kind of some family drama with a mystery to it. So kind of like The Last Thing He Told Me. It's not like a thriller mystery, but it's them trying to find out what happened to their father and in the process kind of uncovering a lot of secrets from his background that they didn't know. I loved it. Like it's got the compulsive page turning feels of a thriller, but definitely isn't like thriller. It's not a J.T. Ellison book, but I loved it so much. She's such a fantastic writer. Her book, London is the Best City in America, is still one of my favorite books, which I read forever ago and then never picked up anything else by her, which is so ridiculous. And I'm excited to dive into her backlist and read The Divorce Party, The First Husband, 800 Grapes, and Hello Sunshine. And then she is working on the sequel to The Last Thing He Told Me, which is also coming to Apple TV. So anyway, huge fan of hers. If you can't tell, I absolutely loved this book. So thank you, Libro FM, for the audio arc of it, which I finally read. And thank you to me for buying the physical book of it because I needed to have it. But I loved this story so, so much. Such great characters. Laura Dave does such a great job of setting. So this is set in Brooklyn. It's set a little bit in the city and then it's set out in California. but I find that she picks like the best little details and makes like such an impactful, like, you can tell it's like she didn't just Google it on a map. Like, it's very much like she knows the area, she knows the details of a place, she does her research, and it feels so authentic to me. And then the storytelling is just like bar none. There are also some upstate scenes and up by the Hudson, and she just really crafts a beautiful story. I'm uber impressed. Just loved it. Okay, I've got two more books. One I bought myself and one was gifted. So the one I bought for myself is Darkly by Marisha Pessl. She wrote Night Film, which I loved. And if you guys were here for my unhaul video, I was going to unhaul Neverworld Wake. I wound up pulling it back out. Then I was going to like repurchase the new cover of it, which I was like, girl, you're being ridiculous. Like, maybe see if you actually like the book. But I missed her. I'm trying to think which video it was. It might have been my December new releases. She was doing a book signing at a bookstore that I was right near, and I totally missed it. But I just convinced me, I was like, well, I just need to pre-order the book anyway, or go buy the book anyway, because now I'm super intrigued. So that's what I did. And this is a YA book with like some dark academia vibes to it. This beautiful magenta D for Darkly on the front of it. So it says, what would you kill for? Arcadia Dia Gannon has long been obsessed with Louisiana Veda, the game designer whose creations and company Darkly have gained a cult-like following. Dia is shocked when she's chosen for a highly coveted internship, along with 6 other teenagers from around the world. Why her? Dia has never won anything in her life. Darkly, a once game-making empire renowned for its ingenious and utterly terrifying toys and games, now lies dormant after Veda's mysterious death. The remaining games are priced like rare works of art, with some fetching millions of dollars at auction. As Dia and her fellow interns delve into the heart of Darkly, they discover hidden symbols, buried clues, and a web of intrigue. But who are these teens, and what secrets do they keep? Why were any of them really chosen? The answer lies within the labyrinth of Darkly, a chilling and addictive read by Marisha Pessl. So, not quite dark academia, but like a bunch of teenagers at an internship. It kind of has a school vibe to me. And I read so many great reviews about it online. I loved the heck out of Night Film. That was a journey of a book if you guys haven't read it. And I'm excited to read some more by her. So picked it up. And it's beautiful on the inside as well. And kind of like with Night Film, I'm so like I kind of want to see something, but I don't want to see something. There are literal newspaper clippings put in. I just love how she did it. And there's like some photos in here, so it feels like you're really immersed in it. I love how she has like actual clippings, so it looks like a torn out piece of paper, drawings that are in here, and I'm intrigued. So I made a big stink about how I'm like not reading much YA, but I'm really interested in this. We've got a letter in here too. But it looks like the actual thing's photocopied in. I don't know. I just think it's super cool. So stay tuned for that. I almost dropped it. That would have been horrible. And then the last book I have was gifted to me. This is from Flatiron Books. This is A Killing Cold by Kate Alice Marshall. This comes out in February. And I am so ready for some more Kate Alice Marshall in my life. I'm a big fan of hers. I've read a few of her books. And she just does a great, nice, dark thriller. This is one of her adult books. So she has done YA thrillers, and she wrote What Lies in the Woods, which I read and loved, which has a bit of a Slenderman vibe to it. And then she wrote No One Can Know, which I have not yet read, which is about like sisters coming back to their parents' house after they pass away. And there's like all sorts of dark and messed up secrets. So I have it and I need to read it. They're all standalone books. And now we have this one, which, come on, ARC. Give me a blurb about what it's all about. So we have A Whirlwind Romance. When Theodora Scott met Connor, wealthy, charming, and a member of the powerful Dalton family, she fell in love in an instant. 6 months later, he's brought her to Idlewood, his family's isolated winter retreat, to win over his skeptical relatives. Quote, stay away from Connor Dalton. Theo has tried to ignore the threatening messages on her phone, but she can't ignore the footprints in the snow outside the cabin window, or the strange sense of familiarity she has about the place. Then, in an abandoned cabin, Theo finds something impossible, a photo of herself as a child, a photo taken at Idlewood. Oh, she's been here before, ... But how? Theo has almost no memory of her earliest years, but now she's starting to piece the fragments together. Someone here has a shocking secret that they will do anything to keep hidden, and Theo is in terrible danger because the Daltons do not lose, and discovering what happened at Idlewood may cost Theo everything. I'm so excited. She writes great books. She writes great mysteries. Perfect time of year to read about the killing cold. So again, stay tuned here, Instagram, and I'll tell you all about it. So thank you again, Flatiron. Thank you again, everybody. So obscene book haul, I totally understand. I'm very excited for these books, and I'm super grateful for all of them. So to everyone who gifted me a book, thank you very much. And thanks me, because hopefully I can both learn how to declutter, learn how to edit my book, and then escape into the world of Darkly, which should be great fun. So there you go. Let me know, you guys, what did you pick up over the holidays? What was gifted to you? Which of these books have you read? Recommendations on anything to read first. Let me know all of the fun things, and I will let you know when I read them and keep you updated on what they're all about and what I thought about them. So until next time, I hope everyone is doing fantastic. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And I'm just super happy about things today other than my busted up back. So, all right, I'm going to go heat this thing up, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Thanks, everybody. Bye.